The views and opinions expressed by the host and our guest does not state or reflect Ramona personally or the Life Designing with Ramona Rogers podcast.
This podcast takes a glimpse into the lives of women that, despite life's obstacles and challenges, they have knocked down barriers and are succeeding in their chosen careers and in life. And today I have the pleasure of Cheryl Thibault in the house with me. Hello, Cheryl. How are you today?
Hi, I am awesome. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Cheryl comes to us by way of Canada. How's the weather up there?
Well, you know what? I'm going to complain about that. It's normally so hot right now that, it's absolutely beautiful, but I don't know why we've had overcast and rain all since April. So there's only been like 2 nice days since April. So yeah, we need some sunshine.
Okay. Well, you are a ray of sunshine, and I am so honored that you are here with me today, taking time out of your busy schedule. Cheryl is an author, a podcaster, a business owner. I want to say serial business owner. She has a lot going on, but she is so exciting to listen to and watch. So, Cheryl, tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from?
Originally, I am from a smaller city. It's actually the capital city, but it's a small city in the center of Canada in the prairies. So I'm born and raised a prairie girl. And I now live on the West Coast on the ocean side. I live on an island on the West Coast. So it's beautiful here, except when it's not sunny.
So Cheryl, what is it that you do now? You have all these avenues of being a serial entrepreneur. Where did all that start? Where did it come from?
Well, when I was little, 12 years old, actually, my girlfriend and I were babysitting, talking about what we're going to be when we grow up. And I said I would be in the makeup or the beauty industry of some sort, but didn't want to really be a hairdresser. But that's kind of all there was way back then. That's going back 40 years now that I've been in this industry. So that's kind of where the dream started. I started painting fingernails on my dog. And then I managed to get my friends and family and neighbors and a bunch of other people to come along for the ride and let me play with their fingernails. And it sort of just grew from there.
So right now, your primary business is what?
My primary business right now is a education center. So we have a school and we went online in 2007 and it just kept growing and growing. And in 2012, I actually closed my brick and mortar school and went 100% online. A huge leap of faith because we are in a touch industry and nobody thought I could do it. And so there was my challenge. So by 2012, we had more students online than I had in my school setting. So we closed the school and went 100% online and just grew from there. And now, so far, we're in 17 states and countries outside of Canada. So we're throughout Canada, plus expanding globally now. So it's pretty exciting.
Wow. Did you ever figure that from that dream, you would be a global entity?
Well, 40 years ago, there wasn't much global going on, right? Well, you're lucky if you could keep the corner shop going. There wasn't much global anything. We didn't even have internet. So travel was almost non-existent and everything was done by, letter, stamp, mail, so no. Absolutely not. There was not a chance because it just wasn't possible. It wasn't possible because we're an online platform and there was no internet yet. So
wow. So what are some things on your journey to become the Cheryl that you are today? What are some things that you would attribute to you becoming you?
Oh boy. Well, determination for sure. I was a single mom, really young. divorced by the time I was 19 with 2 children. So that kind of puts you in a feast or famine for feeding your children. And that's when I actually went back to school and got my diploma in the beauty industry, was then because I had to look after the kids. So that's sort of when it happened. And it hasn't been a whole bowl of roses, of course. Most single moms out there know what it takes when you're the mom and the dad. And I was the mom and the dad forever after that. So there was a ton of struggles. There's never been one that's been more or less than another. They are pretty much an everyday thing in various degrees, There's never been a day pretty much that you don't have to deal with a situation when you're in your own business and as a single mom. So my daughter was run over by a truck when she was 6, and that was a bit of a backstep for sure, because you have to deal with, the health, and they didn't think she'd walk again, actually. So she had quite a miracle happen to her, and now she's a mom of 3 fabulous kids, and she's actually in the industry as well. She runs my warehouse. And so that was a bit of a jump back. And other than that, I think, it's a financial struggle most of the time, because you are the sole income for the house, right? And if you don't make it, your kids don't eat. So it was a lot of macaroni and cheese and a lot of stew for a while, but we made it through, and you just don't quit. There's times when you think you can't go on one more minute, and you just have to find that inside you somewhere to just make it through that minute. And then there's another minute, and then another minute. And the next thing you know, a year's gone by, and here you are, right?
Yeah, the life of an entrepreneur. So, what was so most entrepreneurs, what I've learned is that you have to have some type of community or a like-minded individual. Who was that person for you that kind of you're able to bounce stuff off of? You were able to, tweak their minds or pick their minds about, where you were headed or what you're doing, mentors and stuff like that. Did you have that in place as well?
No, I didn't. I know, surprising, right? I was just determined. That was way back in the 80s, right? It wasn't so popular then to have coaches, and we always had, Tony Robbins and all the motivational speakers from ever ago. And I did deep dive into a lot of that. I found every book I could, on everything business related and positive mental attitude related. But as far as a coach, there really wasn't anyone that there really wasn't. We were just getting into the times back then when we were learning about brainstorming and having a team and networking and team meetings and stuff. So I would surround myself with people who were, business owners at the time. But as far as one in particular, I can't think of one other than my dad, who has always been my inspiration.
Okay.
He was always self-employed, and he was always the positive one. And he actually, my dad used to sell Snap-on tools. I don't know if you guys have had Snap-on tools back there, but
Snap-on tools?
Yeah, it's a company, tools. He was a mechanic, right?
Okay.
So we grew up in a gas station. And I learned at a young age to, watch my parents' role model. They were both self-employed. So then my dad went into selling tools, and he would hit the road, and he would go to, business after business and be a tool salesman. So he got me on the phone at, I don't even know how old I was. I'm going to say maybe 14, 15, and got me calling the wives of the mechanics to see if they wanted to buy their husband a wrench for Christmas. So that in itself was pretty funny, but he got me cold calling at a pretty young age. And I sort of learned how to pick up the phone and make the call and go through the rejections and the no's. And I guess that was kind of my way in, because they weren't saying no to me. They were saying no to my dad's stuff. So it was a little bit easier to get through that. And he just taught me to never give up, no matter what. Just press on and just never quit. And so that's kind of been, I guess, where it's come from is my dad's never quit attitude, and just putting myself out there.
And put yourself out there is what you have done just this year. How many books have you actually published in 2022?
Well, 2 that I've co-authored and 1 that I've written myself, and there's 4 more in the process. So there'll be about 7 or 8 this year. So yeah.
Wow.
See when I think about it.
That's Guinness Book of World Record numbers, right?
No, no. But my latest one, I'm quite proud of. It's about the beauty industry, and it's a book for people who are researching, the beauty industry to find out, what job would I like? Would I even like a job in the beauty industry? Because, like I said, at 12, I went for it, and it's all I knew. So I've stayed in it my whole life. But back then there was hairdressing, and that was pretty much it. And then as it expanded, people started getting manicures, and then it reached into the skincare and the facials and the pedicures. And now, I mean, the sky's the limit on what you can do now. We have our own makeup line, our own Spa One makeup line that we branded, our own skincare line, and our own nail care line that I've trademarked and branded. So, I mean, it's even gone as far as owning your own product line, right? Back then that was pretty much unheard of.
It's amazing.
Big brands, yeah. So the book, just talking about that a little bit, it starts out with, cosmetic counter sales, makeup, the beginning stages, way back to Cleopatra days when makeup started becoming something. And I've incorporated many world-renowned beauty professionals. So they've written a little chapter on their division of the beauty industry. So we've got 17 contributing authors to this book, and they've all told their little story as to, what got them into the industry and where they are today. So there's over 400 years of combined wisdom in this book. So it's pretty good.
How do you find the time to be effective in all the areas? You 8 books for a year. That's amazing. Podcast, you're running a global business. How do you find the time? What is your team like? What does that look like?
Well, you know what? That's a great question. Thank you, Ramona. Up until 2 years ago, I was a Lone Ranger, and I did everything myself. Everything. So from, interviewing the students to recruiting the students to getting them in, the program and seeing them through to graduation to getting their diplomas done. In that, we ran the warehouse, and I did have a warehouse person help me with that. So there was just, those 2 businesses at the time. And then I got on the judging platform for a nail competition, international nail competition. And I don't know if it was the exposure from that or just the fact that people finally went, oh my God, we can learn this online. And the business just exploded a couple years ago. And then when COVID hit, every school in the world closed, literally the world, because COVID shut the world down. And as far as I know, I was the only online school at that time, and we never missed a day of work. And from there, I've had to hire so many staff, and each of them has their own job. Now, none of them even overlap. They each have a dedicated job. And, my team is phenomenal. I could not do it without a team. There's just no way now. It's just grown too big for one person to handle. So I do have amazing support. I have an amazing team that I don't even have to question what they do. They just do. I don't even know what they do, to be honest with you. They're so amazing. that they just go ahead and just keep the ball rolling. And that in itself has definitely been a big thing for me because I couldn't keep up now. There's not enough hours in a day for me to do it all alone. So again, time management, which was a big course in the 80s, was learning time management. And now what I've learned, because I do have coaches now, I have a few business coaches and leadership coaches, and I'm taking many courses and still learning and everything. But one of them said, actually, part of our monthly coaching is we have to set our goal sheets. And one of the questions on the goal sheet, what have you delegated? Because now it's more a business of not doing it yourself, but a business of delegating. And
Gotcha.
that was a new thing for me because I never delegated anything. So I've had to really learn that one. But yeah, so my team. So, and I wake up early and I stay up late. But I promised myself after my book was done, I'm taking time for me now. So I'm incorporating some self-care in my day.
Oh, most definitely. We got to keep you pumped up and healthy. Nothing else going to happen if you are fizzled out. So, yeah, that is most important. You
Yeah.
are doing amazing things. I'm just thinking about all the things you just said about teamwork, about how you're putting things out there for other people to actually, if they want to go into that industry, with maybe not going, people aren't pushing college for your colleges like they once did, and getting a trade and going into different arenas of industry as fashion and cosmetics and the beauty industry is definitely, that book is definitely needed. I have a daughter who's going into esthetician school herself in August, so that was a choice
Wow.
for her. And just having that tool available, that would be that's a game changer for a lot of people. And you're in the industry, like in the industry, so you are to be commended for all this hard work you're doing. But you're also to be commended because are a woman who's trailblazing for other people. That's the point of this podcast is I want other women to see that it can be done. No matter what your background, no matter where you've come from, it can be done. Being successful can be done. And to see other people doing it, your story is amazing about being a single mom. And now you are this global entity on several notes. That is a story in and of itself. When is the movie coming out?
Don't think so. That's funny. No, no, no. I'm actually quite shy. So even to get me on a podcast in public, and now, as you say, I'm doing my own. So I have to come out of my skin, and this has actually been really good for me because it's causing me to, become more out there. So I've always stayed behind the camera per se, or, hidden behind my company. So now I'm actually having to be the face, and coming from a global world right now, people actually find that hard to believe that I'm that shy. But I am. So it's been a work in progress for sure. For sure.
Well, you're doing it. And we met last year. We both ended up being on the same anthology project. And when I heard your story, I was like, wow, this lady right here is on fire. So you were an inspiration to me. And I knew once I got this podcast started, I had to have you on to tell your story and how you have been able to put things into place and become successful, and how other people can also do the same thing. So what would be something that you would tell your younger self?
Oh, Mona, what a question. Holy cow. That's a good one. That's a good one. I think I'm going to use that on my podcast if you don't mind. That's a
Hey,
really good.
it's all right. I didn't write that. I'm just
What would I tell my younger self? My younger self, I would tell myself to get better coaching and guidance and start listening instead of just being so crazy out there. I just was so determined and stubborn that nothing was going to stop me, that I probably could have listened a little bit more to some leaders who had gone before. Um, I definitely would pay more attention and get better coaching, 100%. But I would not tell myself to stop being determined because I was on fire. I found excitement in accomplishing. It's just always on to the next. What's the next? What's the next thing I can do? I guess kind of like an athlete, going to the Olympics. What's the next thing I can do? And I pretty much have done every entity of the beauty industry, starting like I had to take some hairdressing because there was not an aesthetic school, strictly aesthetic. So I also have a hairdressing, certificate and lashes and nails. I mean, I had, this is a funny story. The governing board for my school comes and they audit me every year. So when I moved to this new location and they changed the things and he said, oh, we don't have your resume on file. And I'm like, my resume? I own the company. Why would I need a resume? He said, well, we need a resume on file. So I had just moved into my house and they actually came to my house for the interview. And I pulled out a great bigger than a banker's box of all my diplomas. And I said, here you go. I put this box on the table. And he's like, what's that? I said, my resume.
Look to it.
I said, choose which diploma you want. So yeah, it was kind of funny because I do have, I'm such an advocate for education. And you can never have enough education. So I still to this day take a lot of training. I take classes and extended classes in literally everything from business to personal development to, my spirituality to everything. I'm always on a quest of some sort. And that's something I recommend for people. And my younger self, I would have told myself to, study deeper, don't make those mistakes. A lot of it, I winged it because I didn't know. And lucky for me, it worked out. But I definitely would spend more time investigating. And now you can because Google gives you every answer you need, right? So,
yeah, information at our fingertips. And I'm just looking at you and listening to your story. You got the eighth. You're gonna by the end of the year 2022, you're gonna have 8 books in almost 1 year, correct? And is that what you said? Oh, that is amazing.
The first one came out in February. Yeah. Yeah. So, and what's exciting is I got offered the award for, there's a global trade company that puts on, 100 women from 100 countries, and it's in London in August. And they offered me the one for Canada. So I'm supposed to be going to London in August to receive this award. So that's kind of cool.
That's way cool.
Yeah, that was unexpected. So that's exciting. And I got nominated for Best Teacher of the Year too. So that was kind of cool. So a lot of things have happened in the last year besides, that and my book, which here it is. It's kind of got my name on it.
Cool, sure.
So, yeah,
you're so exciting. Modest with that. I mean, like you have done amazing things. And just yesterday, I wrote something like rewards are not given to earn. You've put it out there, so these rewards that are coming, you've earned them. You've earned them. You put in the work over how many years have you been in the industry?
41.
41 years. So you are seeing the fruits of your labor are coming. I mean, you are being rewarded for that. You have, again, been a trailblazer for the generations to come. So you are to be commended. Congratulations on all these awards. Yeah. So I'm going to say there are going to be more coming because the more people learn about you and your story and the things that you're doing and how successful you are. Oh, wow. I can't wait to see how that happens and what's going to happen on that note.
Thanks, Ramona. But what's funny is I don't see myself as that. I should probably, but I just see myself that there's still so much to do. There's so much work that still needs to be done. Our industry, although it's been around many thousands of years, going back to Cleopatra and, those days when makeup was made with coal from a lamp, that's what they used for their eyeliner. So, there's just so much to do. There's so many there's so many people that still want to change their lives, you know. I don't see my career as a job. It's not a job. It's a passion for me. I love it. And what I love is the fact that I can see people changing their lives. You know, even
Mm.
if it's just something so small where it's, mom can't afford ballet lessons for her daughter, or they can't afford hockey for their kid. And, she comes home from work and does nails on a table in the hallway, even, just to make enough side money to put their kid in a sport, all the way to, I've had some students that were living in the streets,
Mm.
with no education at all, and being caught up in the system and caught up in drugs and caught up in a real mess, come into my school and graduate not just with a diploma, but with a self-image change to go on and be the best version of themselves, and just to watch people grow through that. It's so heartwarming that, it's just so heartwarming. You just can't quit. Right? So,
Well, that passion is definitely coming through in your subtle but effective way. And I can only imagine being right there with you on a day-to-day basis, how nurturing you are and how loving you are and how you are able to help people change the trajectories of their lives by just loving on them, by
well,
just simply loving on them.
thank you. Don't My kids wouldn't agree. They've had some tough love. Trust me. You're what? Oh, no, 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 not on my watch. So yeah, they've definitely had the firm hand of mom, but it's I'm proud of my kids, and I try to bring that into my students too, because you do have to have a firm hand sometimes. A lot of them haven't had one, and they just think, oh, I'll just get in and I'll quit. No, you're in here to change your life. Let's get you through this. Let's get you a career and get you on a path of, where you can help someone else.
Hmm.
And the other thing too in this industry is it's not just the student, but when I had my school and my spa, so many of my friends came to me from across the manicure table, right? I mean, you're holding someone's hand, and that's a very personal thing. When you go on a date with a guy and he holds your hand, your whole life changes, like, oh, he's holding my hand, and there's an energy there between the two people. And
I
it's
agree.
the same with, a nail tech. I'm holding your hand for an hour. Although I'm making your nails beautiful and you're going to feel like $1,000,000 when you walk out the door, there's an intimacy between two people, that energy is exchanged, and you really get to know that person that's sitting across from you. And you become not just a nail tech, but you're like a therapist.
Mm.
You hear their stories, you feel their pain, you feel their happiness. I've had, so many people come to me, just learned that they're pregnant and they're so excited, but they have to have their nails look pretty so they can go tell their husband. I don't know why that makes a difference, but it does. I just need to get my nails done so I can tell them the good news. Okay. Um, just stuff like that. And on the sad side, you also hear, things aren't going well at home. My child is, this is happening, or there's an illness, or there's a divorce, or, stuff like that. So I think a lot of it is where you learn the compassion for people, because you have to be compassionate and you have to be trustworthy, because they're confiding in you just like they would in a therapist. So you can't go around gossiping about, their lives and their people and everything. So there's a lot of professionalism that is learned not in a textbook. So it's life changing, this career. So
With you saying with the pandemic had hit and then had affected the industry, has the industry bounced back with in-person care? A lot of people were isolated and we missed that human element in so many aspects of our lives for, the better part of 2 years. How has the industry bounced back, and how did it affect your personal business, and what has made you to change?
Yeah, the big changes because we're personal touch, right?
Right.
So the school, as I said, grew because we're online. And I think people had the vision, I can get through this course in a year. I'll have a degree behind me. When the world opens up again, I can go out and start my career, which is a lot of, what the happened in the school portion of it. In the spa portion of it, like we just opened a local spa here in October. So we had October, November, January, February, and halfway through March, they shut us down. So we were only open 4 months. And, a new business, it's still a baby for 3 years. So, when you start gaining your momentum, you're getting known in the neighborhood, and all of a sudden your doors are shut. And we didn't have enough clientele built within 4 months to, know where we were coming back to. So that was a big struggle. And to this day, we're still climbing up that ladder. It still hasn't been like it was before we closed. I think a lot of people are still scared to come out, although we don't have to wear masks anymore. There's still a lot of people out that are still wearing masks, and that's their choice, right? But those people are the ones that are in fear of coming into a salon and stuff. So it is climbing back, but it's climbing back. I guess it's climbing back steadily, just not the full on impact that I thought it would be. It was in the beginning. I have to change what I'm saying because everybody's nails grew, their hair grew, roots were like 4 inches long, and so everybody rushed in the beginning to get their tune up, and then they, it's evening itself out now. Yeah.
Well, I know I, for one, finally had to go get my feet done a few weeks ago. I was like, yes, that self-care has definitely been life-changing for a lot of people because they've been so isolated. And with you being in that industry, I know it took some hits. A lot of people, closed up their shops and things of that nature. But that online, you positioned yourself for the pivot. That's for sure.
Well, who knew? I mean, who knew? In 2012, I wasn't predicting a pandemic in 2020. So, I guess I was just blessed to have that vision way back then. And it was difficult. That in itself was difficult because it's a hands-on business, and I faced a lot of ridicule. It wasn't accepted. I really had to come out of the trenches and show, yes, you can do this in an online platform. And so it did take it wasn't an overnight success, that's for sure. But again, don't quit. Just don't quit.
The theme for the day, you've made my day with that, because I'm gonna make me something, so don't quit. All the entrepreneurial things that you have going on all the time, don't quit is definitely a theme for most people. And for you to have that as yours, and for those people that are listening who hear this podcast interview with you, the theme that she has, and look her up. Matter of fact, tell us where we can find you.
Well, as you know, my last name is not so easy to pronounce. It's French, so it's spelled pronouncing Thibault. So I couldn't use it in my promotions because nobody would spell it properly. So my website is just very simple, misscheryl.com. And people can go there. The books are on there. There's links to the spa on there. There's links to the school on there. My podcast is featured on there. So, and you're on it. So you can come and find Ramona on my podcast too. So yeah, misscheryl.com is the simplest way.
And so all the books you're a part of, all the books you publish are on there as well. I got to get my copy.
Yeah. And if anyone is looking, to get into the beauty industry and is unsure, we have a free ebook on there that is a little taster of what's in the big book. And that one's called Set Back to Success. And it actually, touches on thriving through the pandemic, because pretty much our industry is recession proof. Your hair always grows, your nails always grow. I mean, it's inevitable. You know, so many people had to cut their own hair, but believe me, they're gone back to their style or, you know, whatever. So if they wanted a taste of, you know, what's in the big book, the free ebook is on there, so they can just jump on and grab that ebook.
Wow. What an amazing, amazing entrepreneur, amazing woman, amazing mother. Cheryl, I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And if anybody who's listening to this know that you have a busy schedule, all the things that you're doing, you are an inspiration to me to keep on going, never give up. So I thank you. I congratulate you on everything that you've done, all the accomplishments that you have, all the awards that you are receiving. And thank you for being such a light for other people to see that they can do it too, as long as they don't give up. So thank you, Cheryl.
I want to thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And you're right. It's don't give up. And I touched on that, of course, in the book. Like sometimes you have to take a sidestep and look at it again, you know, or maybe another sidestep. It's kind of like a dance, you know, and then again, you go forward. You might go backwards, but then again, go forward. But if you quit, you never know. You never know. So, you know, there's always just one foot in front of the other. And no matter what you're going through, it will pass. And it will always be tomorrow. So,
yes.
yeah.
Well, we are grateful that you have blessed us with your story and your time and a glimpse of greatness that's operating and moving in our time and space. And so we thank you. And those of you listening to the podcast, go check Cheryl out and get her books and seek her services. And even those of you who know someone who wants to get into the business, the beauty industry, please, by all means, let them know. MissCheryl.com. Was that correct, Cheryl?
Right. Pretty simple.
All right.
CHERYL too. I just actually hired a RMT, registered massage therapist at my spa, and her name is Cheryl. And she spells it with an S. So now we're like Cheryl S or Cheryl C. So yeah, I'm Cheryl with a C.
Well, you heard it right here on the Life Design Podcast with Ramona Rogers. We thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a great evening.
Thank you.